I gotta ask what you make of Rahm Emanuel's political, I can't say political reinvention because the only thing we know about Rahm Emanuel is that he's sort of not gender fluid, of course, because now he believes that men are men and women are women, but he's sort of generally fluid, not gender fluid, but generally fluid when it comes to his beliefs. He told Megyn on Megyn Kelly's show this week, of course, that a man cannot become a woman cannot become a man, and said he was going to have to go into witness protection because of it. But obviously comes from Obama world. He comes from Clinton world. He's been everywhere and back again, and now seems to be serious about potentially running for president. And that, I imagine, to people who have watched him very closely from Chicago, is insane.
Well, it's insane because, he has this one big bag that he's been carrying around, and it was the shooting of Laquan McDonald. He was a 16-year-old African-American kid who was shot, I think, like 16 times by the Chicago Police Department, and Rahm participated in the cover-up of that. And progressives have never forgiven him for that, and it gets brought up all the time, and it will certainly be brought up if he is to run for office, and it is run for president. And so he's got to figure out how to get around or get past that. But you look at the arc of Rahm's career, he's been super ambitious his whole life. And he's also been very savvy. I mean, he ran the, DNCC. I mean, he's been elected to office. He seems to have 9 lives. I mean, he's smart, he's tough. And his theory of the case, as he laid out to Megyn the other day, is that that's what Democrats need. That's what this moment requires. And he's clearly looking at sort of the centrist lane and trying to win back some of these voters who end up voting, switching and voting for Donald Trump or not voting at all. And I think he has, that sounds somewhat persuasive to me. Is Rahm the guy who can do that? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's like Andy Bashir, who was in South Carolina this week,
right?
Or somebody else. But I think he is serious about it, and I would not take him lightly if I was someone who's going to be running for president, because again, I think Rahm is a tough guy and a smart guy, and he is politically savvy, and I think he would run a pretty good campaign if he could just somehow figure out how to get around and defuse the issue of Laquan McDonald, because it's out there, it sort of looms over him.
Yeah, and he'll also, I mean, we saw him wade into the cultural waters, but then he has to sort of do some way. He would have to get through the primary by going right at the populists without without losing. This is the thing that Joe Biden did that nobody else in that 2020 primary could quite pull off. You can run in a lane where you sound populist, but you also sound, you're populist coded to populists, and you are centrist coded to centrists. And that's a really hard thing to do. But actually, Rahm Emanuel, again, like I get it. It all sounds insane. He's never actually held elected office outside of Chicago that I'm aware of. And that's kind of a crazy path to the presidency. But he might actually be the person to do it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he was a congressman from Illinois
that's
for
right.
a little bit.
When was that? That was like
that was in the early stages. And then he left there to be, I think, chief of staff. But he is, look, all the energy right now is with the populists. It is with the progressives. It is with, you look at what's happening with Mamdani and Omar Fatah in Minneapolis, and you've got Bernie and AOC out there fighting the oligarchy and getting 35,000 people. What we saw in 2020 was so unique. Joe Biden finished, 4th or 5th in Iowa, 4th in New Hampshire. We'd never have anybody finish that low and still win the nomination. The Democrats were so desperate to win and beat Donald Trump that you had literally the race just they folded up the tent. Pete Buttigieg got out, Amy Klobuchar got out. Buttigieg won Iowa. That's not going to happen this time because Donald Trump's not going to be on the ballot. So these Democrats are not going to just, walk away when they've got a legitimate chance of winning and hand it to Rahm because they think he's a centrist or something. I mean, it's going to be a total dogfight. And I just don't know that the energy is with the centrists in the primary. If they can get through the primary, that's obviously where they need to be for a general election. But man, I mean, right now you look at where some of these folks are, and it's like they haven't really learned the lessons from 2020, when they all stood on the debate stage and raised their hand to, decriminalize border crossings and provide health insurance for people who are illegally, if you got everybody together who's thinking about running for president and you put them on a stage and you ask them that question, I think a majority of them would probably still raise their hands. And maybe they wouldn't, but there's not a ton of learning that has gone on thus far that I can see.
I think that's a good point.